we are going to start exponents. But today we're specifically going to work on evaluating exponents.
Wow.
Doesn't evaluating mean solve?
Yep, evaluating means get a number. Now, the thing that's going to make today tricky compared to other years is we're going to deal with negative exponents. So let's talk about what an exponent means. So if I write 5 to the third, that means 5 times 5 times 5, and 5 times 5 is 25 times 5, and 25 times 5 is 125, so 125 is the answer. Exponents have this form, or exponentials have this form. A to the x, where A is any number, and x is our exponent, whatever it happens to be. So I could have 3/4 squared. Well, wait a minute. That's two numbers. That's a fraction. Well, that doesn't matter. That's going to mean 3 squared over 4 squared. Well, what's 3 squared?
9.
9. And what's 4 squared?
16.
16. So 9/16. So then if I could reduce that fraction, I would. Well, what if I had -4 squared? Well, what's that mean? -4 times -4, which is positive 16. I'll give you a moment to catch up. Make sure you get all that down.
You got our new poster again.
I did. Any questions so far? The following is a mistake. I do want you to write down the mistake so that you don't make it.
Okay, I got you, Ken. I'll write down the mistake.
Here is the mistake. This is wrong. Okay, thank you, Trey. Alright, so let's say I have 2 plus 3, and I square that. What we are doing here is going to be wrong. 2 squared plus 3 squared. 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9, and that's 13. All of that is wrong. I have done it wrong because of this rule. You cannot distribute an exponent. You cannot do that. Now there is going to be a rule that looks similar to this, but it has a difference and won't have a plus sign. When you have a plus or minus sign inside those parentheses, you can't distribute that exponent. So, well, how do we do it? The following is the correct way. Follow the order of operations. Order of operations says, what do we do first? Parentheses. So I do 2 plus 3 first, which is 5, and then 5 squared is 25. That is the correct answer. This one was wrong. Okay, you cannot distribute an exponent. I tell you guys what not to do. There's always a couple of you who do the thing I tell you not to do. Don't do that. It's wrong. Any questions on the mistake? All right, the next property. Did we get that all down? We good? Okay. The next property of exponents, the zero property of exponents. It's pretty simple. Anything to the 0 power equals 1, no matter what it is. X to the 0 equals 1. 5 to the 0 equals 1. Some weird thing.
What is that thing after anything? Is that a B? Or a D?
2
2.
to 0 power. Some weird thing. The 0 power equals 1. So yeah, Kane to the 0 power is 1. I'm number 1. Anything, no matter what it is, to 0. So if I had 3/4 to the 0 power, what's it equal?
1.
1. Now, what if I had 3/4 to the 1 power? Well, that's 3/4. It is itself. Okay? But anything to the 0 power equals 1. So that's going to be an important one to remember. It'll come up a lot. And then we get to the difficult part of today's stuff. Any questions on what we've talked about so far?
No.
Let's make sure you're good. Evaluate. Let's say A equals 3, B equals 5, and C equals 2. Example 1. 2 to the A. Example 2. Ah,
We do this on whiteboard.
do it right on your notes. B to the C. Example 3. Why is this doing this? It's really making me mad. Let's do C to A, and one more. A to C. How do we do the first one? 2 to the
Third.
which is
8.
8. Because it means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2. All right. Go ahead and do number 2. So we replace B with 5 and C with
2.
So it's 5 squared, which is 25. Any questions so far?
No.
The next one. C is 2, A is 3, so we've already had that, that's 8. The last one, what'd you get?
Oh, there was another one.
I heard a 6.
9.
I hear a
Seven.
9.
Is a
Let's see.
9.
A is 3, C is 2. What's 3 squared?
9.
9, because it means 3 times 3. Okay, any questions? All right. Now we get to the hard part, negative exponents.
You just said that was the hard part.
No, that was reviewed before we got to the hard part.
Oh.
All right. First mistake, negative exponents. Hear me. Stop writing, hear me. Have nothing to do with the sign of the answer. Let me say that one more time. A negative exponent has nothing to do with the sign of the answer. So if you say, oh, 2 to the negative 2 equals negative 4. Wrong. Okay, that's wrong thinking. That negative exponent does not mean that. Alright, so what does it mean? A negative exponent means move the base up or down in a fraction. That's what it means to do. So, if I have 5 to the negative 2, I need to make that so it has a positive exponent. So what I'm going to do, and I want you to watch, I'll give you a moment to write it down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write this as a fraction. So here, now it's a fraction. You with me? I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to move it down to the denominator. So that's going to equal, now when I move that down, that means now the 1 has not moved up. The 1 has stayed there, but when I move that 5 squared down, so I move it down, the 2, the exponent becomes positive, and now I have a fraction 1 over, well, what's 5 squared? 25.
25.
Now I want you to watch one more, and then I'll back up so that you can do this. Here's one more as an example. Let's say I have 3 to the negative 2 over 5 to the negative 2. Well, now I have 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. You with me? Okay. That means I need to move this one, so I need to make my exponent positive, so I'm going to move that one down. Well, this one is in the denominator, so to make that one's exponent positive, I'm going to move it up. So they switch. So I'm going to get 5 squared at the top and 3 squared at the bottom, so I get 25 over 9. You with me on what I did there? Okay, so I'll back up, get that written down. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, now we're going to do a lot of examples and then we'll get to our whiteboard. Okay, so.
Wait, what was the second example?
Look. That. Okay. All right, in exponential is simplified if all exponents are positive and evaluated. Evaluated means if you can, you get a number. If you hear what I'm saying, often what I'm saying is exactly what I'm writing, so fill in my chicken scratch that doesn't make sense. And exponential is simplified if all the exponents are positive and evaluated. So we are going to simplify. Not solve. We are not solving because we don't have equations. So we're going to simplify this one. 3ab to the 0. Alright, well, is there anything, now what's this exponent on this 3? Well, if it's not written, it's a 1. So we have a 1 there, and on the a 1. So the 0 is on what letter?
B.
The B. And anything to the 0 power is?
1.
So I have 3 times a times 1. Well, anything times 1 is that thing, so 3a is my final answer. I don't solve for a, I've simplified it. Alright, what if I have 1 over x to the negative 7? What do you think we should do in order to simplify that?
Squish it.
Since this exponent is negative, what do I need to do with that? It needs to go up. So when I move it up, what do I get?
Positive x7.
X to the 7. And the 1 is in the denominator, so it doesn't matter. Now, 1's in the numerator, I'm going to have to write. You can't just not write it. So let's do the next one. Let's say I have 4 to the negative 2. What should I do first in order to simplify this?
Bring out 1 on denominator.
Yes. Good job, Dylan. And then what do we do, Trey?
I won't even pay attention.
That's not a good sign. Rachel, what should we do now?
You would put the 4 and negative 2 on the bottom.
When I have a negative exponent, I move it up or down. So when I move it down, now let's keep our fractions bar. What would be in my numerator? And what's in my denominator?
4 negative 4.
4 squared. So when I move it up or down, it switches sign. So I get 1 over 16. Now sign of the exponent, not sign of the answer. Notice my answer is positive. It's not negative just because I have a negative exponent. The exponent has nothing to do with the sign of the answer, except for if our base is negative. So let's try one of those. And let's see if you can see a pattern here. Find a pattern. Okay, we'll just do 4 and see if that's enough for you to get the pattern. So negative 2 squared. We're going to do this the long way. That means negative 2 times negative 2. What's negative 2 times negative 2?
Positive 4.
4. All right? The next one, what does that mean? Trey, you should be writing your notes. What does the next one mean?
Is negative 2 times negative 2.
And what's negative 2 times negative 2?
Positive 4.
So I have 4 times negative 2, which is?
Negative 8.
Okay, the next one, if I have that, I have negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So I'll do this first half. What's negative 2 times negative 2?
Positive 4.
Times.
Positive 4.
And this one would be 4. So I get 16. Any questions how I got 16? Let's do the last one. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Now let's make our work a little bit shorter. See, all of that should equal how much? 16. So I have 16 times, now why did I write a 6 there? That should be a 2.
Because you're smart.
So negative 2. And what's 16 times negative 2?
Negative 32.
Negative 32. Okay, so who's found the pattern? Besides that the numbers are getting bigger.
Smart.
Okay, Alexis, what's our pattern?
But whenever the exponent is even, they're positive. And whenever it's odd, it's negative, and they just you just times the 2 by that number.
Right, okay, so if, she's right, so if our base is negative, well, what's our base? That's the number on the inside, right? This is our base. Negative 2 was our base. These are our bases. So if the base is negative and the exponent is odd, our answer is negative. If our base is negative and the exponent is even, the answer is positive. So I could give you like negative 1 to the 100th power. Is that even or odd? Or is that positive or negative in the end?
Negative in the end.
Well, it'd be positive. Why? Because it's an even number right there. If I had negative 1 to the 301, our answer is that positive or negative?
Positive.
It'd be negative. Why? Because my exponent is
Odd.
If I had negative 1 to the 1002, Is my answer positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Why? Because my exponent is even. Notice it's not because the exponent is negative. It's because the exponent is either even or odd. So what if I had negative 1 to the 1005? Is my answer positive or negative?
Negative.
Not, and it will be a 1. A negative 1. Because 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is simply 1. All right. We're going to simplify the hardest of the hard. So these are the big kahunas. The trick to all your exponential questions are going to be do baby steps. Do a little bit at a time. Don't get overwhelmed with how big it is. Do one little thing at a time. Two big kahunas and then we will be done with our notes. Or maybe 3. Let's do 3. 3 is a good number, don't you think?
No. I.
So we have 3 examples to work through. All we're doing is simplifying as far as we can. And an exponent is simplified if it's evaluated and the exponents are positive. Okay, so we need positive exponents. So to get positive exponents, what am I going to need to do first in this first question?
Move it down.
These are going to need to, both of these are going to need to move down.
Right, so you would keep the 6.
What's the exponent on the 6 if it's not written? A 1. So the 6 stays right where it is. Okay, so baby steps, we have d to the 0, a to the what? And c to the, no, it's not a negative 1 because when I move it down, it became positive. So when I move down the c to the negative 3, the 3 becomes
3.
just a 3. It'll switch its sign. I want you to look over here in this corner. Look in this corner. If I have 5 squared over 1, look. If I take that and move it down, I can do that. I move it down. Well, now the exponent is going to be what? Negative. Okay? And if I take this and move it back up, it's going to switch. So when I move it up and down, it switches sign. So I could start with x squared. Look over here. If I start with x squared and I move that down to the denominator, what's its exponent now? Okay, and if I start with 1 over x squared and I move that up, well, now what is it?
Negative.
Okay, so when I move it up and down, it switches its sign. All right, so we're evaluating this question. Tell me about this d to the 0.
It's 1.
It's 1. So I have 6, 1, a, and then c cubed. Is the a cubed?
No.
No, just the c. So what's our final answer? Well, 6 over a c cubed. And then we're done. Nothing left to do. How about this second question right here, this example? What do I need to do to simplify that tray?
You move the r to the power 4 up.
Yep, so this piece is going to move up. So in our numerator, what do we have, Taylor?
R4.
And in our denominator, what do I have?
K2.
A squared. So there's our final answer. There's nothing left to do. We just have to make sure our exponents are positive in the end. All right, the last one. Tell me about this 9 to the 0, Ryan. It's a 1. So I have a 1. Tell me about this y to the 7.
Me?
Anyone.
It stays there.
It just stays there. Nothing I can do with that. And tell me about this x to the negative 11.
Here we go.
That one needs to move down. So in our denominator, we have this. I would recommend for any problem that has negative exponents that you go ahead and write it as a fraction so that you know that you're moving things up or down. Okay, you can put your notes away, then you just will need your whiteboards and your textbooks.